No one heard Alara Voss scream when she realized the forest was answering her footsteps. That was the last normal moment anyone could agree on. The trailhead sign had been crossed out so many times the letters were barely readable. Locals called it the Forbidden Forest. But Ilara had laughed at that when she parked her car just before sunrise. She was a solo hiker, experienced, calm, and annoyingly fearless. Her camera was already rolling when she stepped past the warning markers, unaware that this was the final footage anyone would ever see of her alive. At 8:17 a.m., Ilara sent a voice note to her brother, Rowan Hale. "Trail's quieter than expected. No birds. Kinda beautiful, though." Her voice sounded light, steady. Nothing suggested danger. Then, at exactly 9:02 a.m., her GPS signal stopped moving. Rowan noticed the silence first. Ilara never went more than an hour without checking in. By sunset, worry had replaced patience. By midnight, it had become panic. Search teams arrived the next morning. Merrick Quinn, a veteran tracker, stood at the edge of the trees and felt something twist in his gut. The forest looked wrong, too still. Wind touched the clearing but refused to enter the woods like it was being held back by invisible walls. They found Ilara's boot less than a mile in, clean, untorn, placed upright against a tree as if someone had carefully set it there. No blood, no drag marks, no signs of a struggle. Iris Calder, a local historian brought in reluctantly by authorities, stared at the boot and went pale. "It started again," she whispered. No one asked what she meant. As the hours passed, the forest began to change. Compasses spun uselessly, radios filled with static that almost sounded like breathing. One volunteer swore he heard his name whispered from behind a cluster of trees, spoken in his own voice. By nightfall, the search was called off. Protocol, they said. Safety. But Rowan refused to leave. Standing at the tree line, he felt watched, not hunted, observed. Like the forest itself was waiting to see what he would do next. Deep inside the trees, something shifted. And Ilara Voss, still alive, finally understood why no one was allowed to enter. Ilara woke up convinced she had dreamed everything. The silence, the shadows, the feeling of being followed. But when she sat up, the forest around her was unfamiliar. The trees were taller, their trunks twisted into shapes that felt intentional, almost deliberate. Her phone was dead. Her watch spun endlessly. Time meant nothing here. She walked until her legs burned, marking trees with her pocket knife, only to stumble back into the same clearing again and again. Panic crept in slowly like poison. The forest wasn't trapping her by force, it was guiding her. Then she heard footsteps. Ilara. Her name floated between the trees, soft and precise. Rowan's voice. She ran toward it without thinking, bursting through branches until she nearly collided with a man standing in the clearing. He looked human. Too human. Jonah Reed introduced himself calmly, as if they were meeting on a city street instead of a place that bent reality. "You shouldn't follow voices in here," Jonah said gently, "especially ones you love." He explained just enough to terrify her. The forest was old, older than maps. It didn't kill people, it kept them, studied them, tested them. And sometimes, if it found them interesting enough, it let them walk its deeper paths. Jonah had been here for 12 years. Outside, Merrick Quinn ignored orders and returned to the tree line with Iris Calder. Iris finally told him the truth. People had been disappearing in this forest for centuries, always one at a time, always someone brave, always someone loved deeply by another. "The forest feeds on connection," Iris said. "It learns us." That night, Rowan crossed the boundary alone. The forest welcomed him. Trees shifted to open a path. The air warmed. Whispers followed him, guiding him forward with Ilara's voice. And somewhere deep within the forest, something ancient stirred. pleased that the second piece had arrived. Rowan found Alara standing in a clearing that shouldn't exist. She looked thinner, tired, alive. Their reunion was brief. The forest didn't like distractions. Jonah watched from a distance, eyes filled with resignation. He had seen this before. When two connected souls entered, the forest always demanded a choice. The Watcher appeared as the light faded. It had no fixed shape, just a suggestion of form made of shadow and sound. Its presence pressed into their thoughts. One could leave, one would stay. The forest had learned Alara, her curiosity, her resilience. It wanted her. But Rowan's love complicated things. Love always did. Iris and Merrick felt it too. The forest trembled, the ground humming like a living heart. Iris knew what was happening. "It's forcing a balance," she said. "It always does." Inside the clearing, Alara understood before Rowan spoke. She had been chosen the moment she stepped past the warning sign. But choice, the forest had learned, hurt humans more than force. Jonah stepped forward. "There's another way," he said quietly. "But it costs more." He offered himself. The Watcher hesitated. Jonah had grown invisible to the forest over time, no longer surprising, no longer nourishing. But sacrifice carried weight, meaning. The forest accepted. At dawn, rescue teams found Rowan at the tree line, collapsed but alive, alone. The forest was silent again, normal, empty. Alara Voss was never found. Life moved on, as it always does. Rowan never spoke publicly about what happened. He left hiking behind, left maps and trails and unanswered questions. But sometimes, late at night, he would hear the wind move through trees like a voice that almost sounded like her. Inside the forest, Alara walked paths that shifted and breathed. She no longer aged, no longer feared. The forest had kept its prize. And deep within the trees, the Watcher learned something new. That love could bargain, that sacrifice could change rules, and that someday, someone else brave enough would cross the line. When that day comes, the forest will be waiting.